Okay, we'll get. All right, it's 3, a little after 3. Let's call the meeting to order of the Northampton County Election Commission. Dan is with us. Is he on?
Maybe, oh, here, there it is.
Hi, Dan.
Now we have you, Dan.
Okay, Dan, we're just calling the meeting to order. Let's begin with the approval of the minutes of June 3rd, 2025. We did receive those minutes in the mail. Are there any questions about the minutes or any corrections, anything that needs to be clarified?
I have a couple things that I feel like need to be clarified.
Okay.
From my recollection at the meeting, it's not clear in these minutes exactly what was voted on for each of the yes and no votes. To me, it looks like first we voted for the commission to vote on assessing, well, actually taking the action, whether or not that we should proceed.
We voted no.
Right. And Scott's proposal, the motion is not really on here. And then it does indicate the vote was no for that as well. And then I think the third one is fine. Margie raised a motion for the administration to go ahead. But those other two motions are not as clearly put. I think it was clearer in the meeting than it is on the minutes. I think that should be amended.
Okay.
So how would you like to see that corrected? So how would you like to see that corrected, Julia?
Well, Scott's motion should be on here, and it's not.
Have wording for that?
Scott, do you?
The meeting, so. Is that on?
Yeah, there's a recording of it.
Right.
It should be there. The other thing I would like to amend is that, let me find it. It says the commission debated on the proposed on-demand balloting location. I think the details should be included in the minutes.
All right, well, we have that, we have the recording. So you would request that we would have more of the specific details.
Yes, the details of the debate and the details of what Scott's motion
And the
was.
specific motion. All right.
Chris, is there the means to do that?
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes. So what we'll do is, we can revise them, and then we will approve them at the next
At the
meeting.
next meeting, okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, so you'll revise them and get them back to us, and then that could be dealt with in November, okay? All right, thank you. Anything else on the?
No. In regards to the minutes and the agenda for next meeting, we would like to reiterate our request to have these about a week in advance. I mean, it doesn't have to be 7 days exactly, but having them the day before, if you have a busy day and another busy day, it's really tough to sometimes squeeze it in, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but that would be much appreciated.
Yes. All right, thank you. Thank you, absolutely. Okay, so then the minutes of this meeting will be approved after they are revised. We take a look at them, and you can deal with it in November, approve those in November. All right, next, let's move on to courtesy of the floor, and we do have Deborah Bird. Bureau, okay. And then Charles Baltz and Glenn. All right. In
Good
that order.
afternoon. My name is Deborah Bureau, and I live in Nazareth. And I just had a couple of questions, and I don't know if you give answers or not here, but they're about the election. My first question is, the SAVE Act is in the process of being passed, and just wondering if we are prepared for the SAVE Act, which requires proof of citizenship for people to vote. And if people are already on the voter rolls, is there a way to validate the voters that are on the roll that they are citizens? Is that something that we're going to do? My next question is there a process to remove voters who are deceased, moved out of state, or has not voted in over 10 years. Do funeral homes and/or real estate offices contact the election offices of changes? Like if somebody dies, would you get notified? I don't know how that works. How often are voter rolls purged? And I have a copy, I can give everybody a copy so you don't have to write it down. How often are voter rolls purged? And when was the last time this was done, a purge? Are the voters' addresses compared to the post office national change of address registry to verify that the voters are still able to vote in Northampton County? Last year, I was on a project, and there are approximately 6,000 voters that were on Northampton's rolls, voter rolls, that had filed a completed permanent address change with the post office. So they moved out of state or moved out of the county, and there were 6,000 of them just here in Northampton County. If you wanted any help with that, sending letters or something, I'd be very happy to help with that. What is the procedure or the chain of custody for mail-in ballots, on-demand voting, and drop boxes? And then my final question is, many counties in Pennsylvania have eliminated drop boxes. What was my question? Oh, do you know how many ballots come through a drop box? And is it cost effective? Like, do we know, like, if there's only 100, is it cost effective to have these drop boxes and stuff like that? Is something that we can look at. Is there somebody that I can hand this to? My questions?
What I would remind the commission is that courtesy of the floor is a time to take comment from the public, not necessarily answer questions, but I would be glad to accept whatever questions you may have.
Okay,
So we could, if you want to hand those up.
okay. Now, how do I get my answer? I put my email address on there. How do I get answers?
You may receive answers. It is possible you will receive answers from the board or from the election division. I can't guarantee that until we review the questions. Many of those questions have been addressed at prior
Yes,
meetings
here.
of the commission.
Okay,
So I would encourage you to attend or observe the election commission meetings, especially in November, which is the meeting after the election, when many of that information is included in the commission, in Mr. Comini's report. He
Okay.
usually produces a very comprehensive report that contains answers to a lot of those questions.
okay, that would be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have Charles. Let me put my glasses on. Charles Baltz.
Charles Baltic, B-A-L-T-I-C, Upper Mount
Baltic,
Bethel
okay.
Township, and a member of the elected representative of the Northampton County Republican Committee. I have a statement that I'll submit for the record, but I'll read it. It's regarding the June 3rd committee meeting vote authorizing the County Elections Department to implement satellite county election offices for on-demand, in-person, write-in voting in county administered elections. We'll call that the satellite decision of the committee, of the commission. Dear Commissioners, I respectfully submit the following. The commission satellite decision was ill-considered and unfounded for the following reasons. The commission did not attempt to authorize the making of, or in fact make, any evidentiary findings as to the structural need to authorize the creation of satellite county election offices. The commission did not attempt to discuss or determine the administrative burden that would be placed on the county election department in creating these satellite offices. The commission did not attempt to discuss or determine to evaluate the administrative resources that would be placed on the county or that would be placed on the county election department in creating these satellite offices. And the commission did not engage in any cost-benefit analysis as to the county election department in creating satellite county offices. The commission took the action in a hasty, arbitrary, and capricious manner, given its own discussions and general admission that there is in fact a very low likelihood of there being capacity constraints or demand-driven need for satellite offices during an off-year election cycle. The commission gave unclear and inchoate directive to the county elections department with respect to the resolution actually approved, despite conducting over 1 hour of debate, given the multiplicity of conflicting resolutions considered, the meandering discussion, and the interconnected and promiscuous consideration of the several proposed resolutions. And I think one of the commissioners referred to the minutes saying that they were not as clear as the meeting. The meeting wasn't clear either. But most importantly, the commission failed to even consider whether such action and directive to the county elections department was even authorized or valid under Pennsylvania election law. I submit that it is not authorized, valid, or allowable under Pennsylvania election law, and in fact is directly contrary to the statute Pennsylvania 2019 Act 77. I won't go into detail on that. I think it's incumbent upon the commission and the county elections office to develop their own view of the statutory interpretation. But this was not only the NEC, the commission's adopted resolution and directive to the county elections department was not only hastily ill-considered, standardless, lacking in any evidentiary or data-driven basis, and arbitrary and capricious, but it was also clearly and unambiguously contrary to Pennsylvania state election law. Should the commission or the county elections department move forward with this plan to establish one or more satellite county election offices, litigation to prevent this will be forthcoming. Respectfully submitted, Charles Baltic on behalf of the Northampton County Republican Committee.
Thank you for your comments. Glenn?
Glenn Geisinger, 1701 Rolling Meadows Drive, Plainfield Township. I appreciate the Commission's opportunity to speak before you. As Mr. Baltic pointed out, we are deeply opposed to the illegal action that you took at your last meeting. We will pursue all necessary remedies if you do not reverse your decision. We find that your actions are both in violation of multiple statutes, to include the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and all Pennsylvania statutes and code. You have essentially authorized the administration to place a on-demand voting location without any kind of empirical data in a precinct that is 80-20 in its Democrat to Republican registration. You have done it without any kind of parameters on its opening, the security of ballots, or the integrity of the vote. It is an abominable assault on our democracy. Period. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Okay. All right, at this time, we would like our solicitor's report. Mike?
Thank you. At this point, there is no pending or current litigation that is new. There remains outstanding litigation both at the federal and state level over the date requirement on mail-in ballots. We will continue to abide by whatever the current court order is at the time. Currently, the current injunction in place does require the counting of undated and misdated mail-in ballots. So unless there is a change between now and November, we will continue to do that. The county does count those votes in a manner that would allow them to be segregated if a court order was to come out that required such action. The county does not take an active, at this point, we do not take any active role in that litigation. The county, we really haven't taken a position. There's more than enough lawyers on either side of that issue that they are well capable of litigating that matter without our input. So the county will continue to abide by whatever the most recent court decision is. At this time, there is no other immediate pending litigation, As referenced in prior courtesy of the floor, there is always pending litigation. There's always the possibility of litigation, both at the federal and state level. If and when that litigation legislation, if and when there's legislation passed, we will continue to abide by that legislation. If and when legislation is passed, I will endeavor to provide communication to the to the commission members about what that litigation entails and what additional duties and responsibilities we may have related to that. But at this point, although there is much pending legislation, nothing has been passed as of yet that would alter or change the conduct of our election in November. I will have more information when we get to new business. I have some specific information and advice related to those ordinances, related to those referendum questions, but it's probably appropriate to wait until we get to those matters to address those specific issues.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Michael? Okay, thank you. All right, the registrar's report. Chris?
Afternoon, everybody. Since this is our last meeting, before, well, our next meeting will be after the election. I have quite a few things to cover. The election integrity grant application period is currently going until August 15th. This grant will cover July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. We're in the process of submitting our application. Northampton County's allocation is going to be $1.178,605. For the general election on November 4th, the last day to register to vote will be Monday, October 20th. We'll specify times for in-person and online. We have extended hours, most likely 6 p.m. right now. It may be, depending on as we get closer. We'll publish those. The office will be open to accept in-person registrations during those extended hours, and the online application for registration is open until midnight. So if we're open till 6, we'll be accepting registrations until 6, and then people can do it online as well until midnight. The last day to apply for mail-in ballots is October 28th, which will also be the last day for ballot on demand. And that in-person and online deadline is 5 p.m. for both. As I mentioned, the general election will be held on Tuesday, November 4th. Just a reminder, if you are in line at your polling location by 8 p.m., you cannot be turned away, so stay in line. All mail-in ballots must be received by the elections office no later than 8 p.m. on election day. Do not wait until the last minute if you're going to use the postal service. You can certainly drop it off in person at our on election day in our office, or you can use one of our 7 county drop boxes, which will also be posted on our website as we get closer. All of our late hour drop boxes will be collected at 8 p.m. on election day. Canvassing for that election will begin on Friday, November 7th. Our current registration numbers, as of today, 227,877 registered voters. Our current absentee mail-in ballot applications, we have 27,069 as of right now. We only have one polling place change for November currently, and that is Wind Gap Borough. We were previously in the Wind Gap Fire Company Social Hall. That place is up for sale, so we have moved it to the Borough Hall. And all voters in that district have been issued updated voter ID cards already. LNA testing of the central scanners and the voting machines will tentatively take place in October. I don't know if you are aware, but the Department of State, along with a number of counties, they have redesigned the provisional ballot envelope. The Department of State is not mandating any county to use this new envelope, but we are taking the initiative to start using these in this election. After the meeting, if you would like to see the new design, I can certainly show you. It's a more user-friendly envelope, so to speak, and they are also providing us with a small grant in order, because we have to destroy all our old envelopes. They're providing us with a grant to subsidize the cost of printing new envelopes. As far as the on-demand ballot locations, we've identified 2 potential locations for November, one in Washington Township at the Municipal Building, and the Fowler Center on the south side of Bethlehem. The reason being that we've chosen those two sites, or those sites are under review, is that both of those locations currently and will remain Dropbox locations. So if those are used as locations, once the voters fill out their ballot, they'll be able to deposit it right into a Dropbox at the location for security purposes. Bringing up a question from Julia at the last meeting with regards to parking at Graysdale. We have been in touch with, the administration has been in touch with Public Works, and they have designated 10 parking spots at the front of the building, which will be marked strictly for voters on Election Day. Okay, so we hope that alleviates some of the congestion. Sure. Again, the drop boxes, there are 7 of them. They will remain in the same locations as previous years. The courthouse, Human Services, 911, Bethlehem City Hall, East Allen Municipal, the Washington Township Municipal, and the Fowler Family Southside Center. The dates and times for those boxes will be provided at a later date. I also would like to remind those who watch the stream that as we approach the November election, we want to make sure our voters have accurate information. If any concerns as to whether you are registered, if you've applied for a mail-in ballot, where is your polling location, please contact a trusted source. There are multiple ways for you to check on your information, and they are as follows. Call the Northampton County Elections Division at 610-829-6260. If you're in the courthouse on other business, you can always stop by our office Monday through Friday between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30. The only day we will be closed before the election is Monday, September 1st, which is Labor Day. We will have extended hours during the ballot on demand period, which you can also handle other business with the voter registration office at that time. You can also visit the Department of State website, which is vote.pa.gov, or you can call the Department of State at 1-877-VOTES-PA, which is 868-3772. And finally, the next meeting will be Tuesday, November 18th at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a question. Where is Washington Township?
The municipal building is
I mean, just generally in the
north,
county.
north of Forks Township. It's like,
Okay,
yeah,
outside of, so
Yeah, outside of
between
Bangor.
Bangor and Forks Township.
Yeah, closer to Bangor.
closer to
Bangor.
Bangor, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions for Chris?
Chris, regarding the 2 identified spaces that the administration is now considering for the on-demand voting, any other information available? What's what's your plan? Reasonings. We asked, I was voted down at the last meeting asking for, to have a plan put in place that we could review, and I'm just wondering if there's any other information that's available other than 2 potential spots.
Nicole's here to address any specific questions, but I mean, we're still in the process of finding locations, so until we actually find and officially sign documentation with those locations, I don't know how much there is to report.
What's it going to look like? What's it going to look like? What's the plan? I mean, I understand you're still picking the spots, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so-
already August, so.
So the Washington Township Supervisors have added this item to their agenda for their mid-August meeting. We need the supervisors to vote on this to proceed with the location there. We're going to do the walkthrough for Fowler just to ensure that everything lines up the way we want it to. I think tentatively, we are looking at, we have to work with our partners as well, just to make sure our hours align with their needs as well. So everything is just, we're in the midst of putting the plan together and having it. The locations will be open, at least 2 days a week. And we'll be publishing the schedule for people so they know when they can go vote on demand at these locations. We have staffing resources, we have supplies, we have everything we need to be able to execute these locations, but we just don't have, until we can have the Board of Supervisors take their vote, do the walkthrough at Fowler, make sure we know that we're in the right places at the right time with those locations. We don't want to commit to anything.
I have a question for you, Nicole. I was a little surprised to hear about the legal issues. Who has researched whether or not this is even a legal thing under state election law?
Oh, our solicitor reviewed this before it was brought forward.
It does sound like there's some disagreement as to whether or not this is a legal thing to do in the state of Pennsylvania.
If the commission would like, I can prepare a memorandum for them with regard to the counties, what we believe the legal justification is with regard to using this option.
Okay, as far as legal justification, yes, I would love to see that. I would also like to see some kind of, I know we already voted on it, but where is the study on the need for this? The number of voters in an off year is going to be way different than it was. And again, as Mr. Geisinger brought up, there is a political aspect to this. We have a Democratic administration. There's certainly more people living in that area near the Fowler Center that are Democrat, and 80-20 is a big spread. This feels like more of a political move. Maybe it's not, but if the situation were reversed, I would say, what is the justification of need, or is this just a political move to get voters from that area that is highly Democrat versus Washington Township? I just don't think you're going to have numbers anywhere near there, even if it's more Republican. There's nowhere near the same numbers.
I think the thought was to provide on-demand services to voters in the southern part of the county and in the northern tier of the county.
Have you done a needs justification for that? I mean, even in the primary, what are your primary numbers? They don't justify that. I think there were maybe 100, I don't even know.
I
A
think
very, very much lower total. Chris might have the numbers at,
I think our discussion was
end.
about that the most important data that we're going to get is from having these on-demand locations and looking at who comes to vote at these locations and if they're worth us continuing in the future. And we probably need to go through a few cycles of having them there and seeing what their utilization is.
so I just want
Let me
this.
ask you this, would you
Yeah.
be more comfortable if we were doing this in preparation for 2028?
In answer to your question, I would be more comfortable having had not voted on it and had information to justify it, legal, making sure it was legal, because we have two opposing, we have an attorney here and our Mr. Baltic is an attorney. We have our attorney here. They disagree. They're completely opposite sides of whether or not this is even legal. I think that bears a lot more research and discussion, and I think I would say this whether if the situation were reversed, if it were an 80-20 Republican site, is this even legal? Is it necessary? And why are we spending money on this? And where's the money coming from all of a sudden? We didn't have enough staff here in this building for this, huge turnout election. Why the rush for this? It still doesn't make any sense to me. And when the legal things come up, I mean, do we want to go into litigation? I just think it bears more research, and I don't know what the rush is just to get it ready for the fall. Why couldn't we have discussion? Why couldn't we have more legal consultation to make sure that we're doing the right thing?
How would you respond to what happened in that district in 2024? What would be your solution?
That's an easy answer. That's not going to happen in the fall. That's not going to happen in the spring. And again, I would say, let's look at, is this even legal? Can we just create virtually a polling place with limited hours? That's another, like an offshoot or a satellite, if you will, an offshoot of this building having on-demand voting. I don't know, I'm not an attorney. I see the question raised, and I see validity there, and I would like to see, the commissions, I would like to see the report and see what the justification is. But my point is not that I have a better solution, not that I have all the answers, but we haven't had a full discussion. We don't have full information. We don't have numbers that justify this. We certainly didn't have numbers in the primary, and we don't have numbers to even justify it going forward. The 2020 or 2024 was definitely an anomaly, and we're probably not going to see that again until 2028. Why the rush? Make sure all our Ts are crossed and all our Is are dotted, and we're going, instead of just going forward blindly, which is what the commission has voted, unfortunately, to go forward blindly, quote unquote, trusting the administration. I don't trust this administration. That doesn't seem to matter, but I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself because I don't have enough information. That's why I voted no.
Well, I guess I would like to respond that as an election commission, I take my responsibility very seriously. Somebody referenced the Voting Act of 1965. We are a country that is dedicated to the belief that people have a right for enfranchisement. People have a right to vote. We just experienced an election where many people were disenfranchised. If you don't know people who left that poll, that area, and did not vote, I do. And here, I am here to represent all people so that all people will have a right to vote. And if we have a problem and we see a problem, the problem has been demonstrated. I'm all for data, I'm all for research. That's my field as a college professor. But I'm also committed to people having the opportunity to vote. And we saw that people did not. And yes, we can wait until September 2018, 2028 and not solve the problem, but we have a problem. We believe we have a solution, and sometimes we have to just go with what we know. And if the data, if you need data to see that these are the numbers on the south side of Bethlehem, fine. But we voted and we made what we feel is an informed decision. And sometimes you won't always like the outcome of the vote. But just let me say, if you believe it's partisan, that's fine. You absolutely have that right. But whether it was, if the south side were a Republican district or a Democrat or independent, I'm committed to people having the opportunity to vote as American people. And so, I don't know how you want us to revisit this. We have voted. And so at this point, from my point of view, I feel we have to go forward. I would be interested to hear from the rest of you, but I'm committed to, and I'm sure what we did was legal. If it were not legal, I'm sure Michael would have informed us. If we are faced with litigation, that's okay. We're a litigious society. We will see the outcome. But for me, I think we should move forward with what we know will enfranchise the people, because what we saw was disenfranchisement. And if that's what you want to support, that's up to you. But for me, I'm for moving forward and making sure that people have the right to exercise the vote to which they are entitled.
I find it a little offensive.
Yeah, me too.
I
I'm
find
sorry.
it a little offensive that you're assuming that I want to disenfranchise voters. Voters get disenfranchised in many different ways.
Yes.
One of the ways they get disenfranchised is if a voter votes here and they are not supposed to vote here. That also happens. So that problem should be addressed as well.
And
I'm not saying we shouldn't address the
I think they did a very
problem.
good job of showing us what happens in this county. I was very happy we had a very long meeting in which we literally saw what they go through to make sure that dead people are not voting, that people, if they've moved, we spent a lot of time with that.
We
So
don't
this-
know where college students are, whether they live here, if they're residents or not. There's no way to necessarily tell. That our state doesn't reciprocate with other states at this current time. So you're just talking about disenfranchisement. That's just another way to disenfranchise other voters, of having people who live out of state, across the country, wherever, vote here. You're disenfranchising the people who live here, who are voting for the things that apply to us.
And as the token City of Bethlehem voter here, that authorized a large group of transient folks to come and make votes that are not only going to affect us nationwide, statewide, countywide, but citywide. I mean, to say that we don't want to make it fair and equitable is just really, really wrong.
Well, I
We-
apologize, but
We
we
tried to,
and
wait a
we're
second, hold on, let
moving
me
forward.
finish my thought. We talked about, or I tried to put a motion through to say, okay, listen, we're not saying no here. Let's have a further discussion, talk about it, get information, do all that, make sure we have our due diligence done. Instead, it got rammed through. Well, I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. A vote's a vote. Y'all voted to push it through. Now the consequences are going to be what the consequences are. But it was hastily done, and it doesn't look good. And I didn't know this was happening either. So it ticks me off.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We are not the only county in the state of Pennsylvania that has multiple on-demand voting sites.
We are not.
There is one county that has 4 different on-demand voting sites, and 6, I believe, that have 2. So we clearly are not, we're not setting a precedent here. This has been allowed to go on through the last voting cycle. So, you know, I doubt that if it were illegal, that challenge most certainly would have been made already in another part of Pennsylvania. So
You don't know that.
I do know that. I
Just
checked.
because someone else didn't do it doesn't mean it's, I mean, this gentleman here has every right to let it happen. But
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm just saying
just
that,
because they do it in another place doesn't mean it's okay.
and we certainly, and if there are legal challenges, then certainly we'll have to meet those legal challenges.
Absolutely.
I'm saying to this point, there have not been.
I find it so odd that we're willing to rush this through and face legal challenges when all it would take is to step back and maybe rescind the vote and just step back and go, we need more information. This can wait till fall of 2026 to come to fruition. Why that can't happen to at least avoid litigation and the costs involved with that, I don't understand.
The reason that I voted yes was, first of all, for the reasons that Sharon already has established. I also know people that left because of the long lines. Am I correct, Chris, you can answer this question, that voting site on the south side of Bethlehem was the most highly populated voting site? Did more people vote at that polling place than any other place in Northampton County?
I would have to look, because we have very large districts in Forks and Palmer. I mean, the reason that district is large is because of the student population. So I can't make that statement without
Okay.
looking at the actual numbers.
I think we know there were a lot of voters at Bethlehem's 3rd Ward, but that the delays we attributed and identified more to how the polling location was being administered, and there were operational issues. So there were a lot of voters, but it wasn't the largest turnout in the county.
Okay.
And we are
That's
reacting.
more voters through other.
I'm sorry.
But we did have 7,000 people come here to vote. That was the figure that we were given.
Oh, no. Were you talking about 3rd Ward or here?
No, here on demand.
Oh, on demand, we had 7,000 people in person.
Correct, which was really problematic for the size, space that we have here.
Absolutely.
So one of the reasons that we made the decision, what we already know, I'm not saying, Julia, clearly, we're not going to have that kind of turnout for the upcoming local elections. My reasoning was to try this out during a low turnout election, so
have
in
several low
preparation
turnouts.
for.
You'll have several low turnouts. I don't see the rush for the fall with no information except we're going to go do this. I don't see the rush for this fall. We have another low turnout in the primary. What was our turnout in the primary?
Low.
Very low. It's an off year and it's a primary. Of course it's very low. Why not take the time to make sure we're doing it right? If it's going to happen, let's make sure it's legal. No, Michael, nothing against you. You're one attorney, as you mentioned. Lots of attorneys, lots of opinions on the law. Why not really look at this? Why not give us the legal information up front so we can discuss it or, read it ourselves, digest it, get interpretations possibly, easily worded ones. There are so many reasons to just not, I don't understand why it's being pushed forward. There's no urgency. There's not going to be 7,000 people here. There's not going to be the huge anomaly that there was in Bethlehem. The rush is, there's no need for the rush. Why not just take a couple months and just sit back and go, hey, what are we really doing here?
Well, the decision's been made. We had a vote. We're pressing forward. I think at this point, that's the direction we're taking. And as we said previously, if we see that there are problems, we don't have to continue.
We already know there's a problem with litigation. Why not rescind the vote or revote? Michael, is that allowed? Could we pose another vote to negate the first vote?
The issue would be that there is nothing on the agenda, so no vote could be made. We can only vote on something if it's on the agenda more than 24 hours, or at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. So not today would be my answer.
Well, we had exactly 6
So hold on, wait,
hours
hold on,
to
wait,
to
but wait a
fulfill
second.
that.
The vote that we had last time wasn't on the agenda, but we did it.
It was listed as new business on the last agenda.
It was listed as a discussion, because I remember coming in here saying, I know nothing about this, and you're asking me to vote on something, which is the reason we went in the other room, because I said, this is crazy.
I understand, but the matter was listed as new business on the agenda at the last meeting.
Okay, to my point about getting the agendas more in advance, if we got the agenda on Friday, then we need the agenda in a week in advance.
I understand.
I think the last meeting, we got the agenda that morning, or maybe the day before.
All right. Dan, anything? Do you have a comment?
I'm sorry I can't attend in person, but I have been listening to the discussion. Michael, earlier on, did you say that you were going to prepare some kind of response or some kind of notes to the issues that were raised? Did you say you were going to do that?
I indicated that I can provide the commission with an opinion. It would obviously be attorney-client privilege material. I would remind the commission that not to share privileged material outside the commission, but I can provide advice to the commission regarding the legal basis, what I believe the legal justification for those type of satellite voting offices is. I'm not prepared to do that today either,
Right.
Obviously not in public or in executive session, but I can provide that memo to the board or to the commission.
I would appreciate seeing that.
And you'll get that to us before the next meeting, certainly.
Obviously, but
Yes.
it may require more than a
Okay.
day or two.
Okay, oh, I understand, certainly. All right, anything else, Dan?
Sorry, I'm sitting in a parking lot, so I muted myself, so you don't hear the noise. And nothing else from me, but I would appreciate seeing that from Michael when he has a chance to put it together. I mean, obviously sharing it with all of us, I think. But
Okay. All right, thank you. Let me just clarify that I was asserting my viewpoint of my representation in my vote, and it was in no way Julia or Scott meant to be an affront to you or an accusatory in any way. So I hope, so if it was, please accept my apology, but just understand where I'm coming from in terms of my position and my vote, okay?
I definitely, I see that. I hope you understand that I can speak for Scott, that our position is the same. We don't
Thank
want
you.
disenfranchised voters, and we want to find the best solutions to make sure that everyone has a chance to vote.
Absolutely, okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to add too, on top of that, remember 2023 when we had that whole debacle and we pushed all those people that got pushed away and got locked out of voting places and whatever. We pushed those results through, or 4 out of 5 people pushed those results through, and I don't remember anybody really standing up at that point, other than me, frankly, and going, we don't know how many people didn't get a chance to vote that day, how many people, and it was like, well, we have to do this. Everything's always, we have to do
No,
this.
it wasn't,
We
Scott.
need to
I
start,
mean,
we need to start. with-
Yes, we
we owe
faced
it to the-
music that day, but there were also many who did vote and did not want us to rescind. So please don't say we just pushed it through. No, we did not just push it through that day. I remember that day because
was
I
terrible.
stood there, yes, it was, and faced all of those people. Absolutely, and there were many, many, but there were also those who pleaded with us not to, so. But we're on the same page in terms of what our goal is. So let's just hope that we can work together to make it happen for everyone, all right? And not only, and do things absolutely the right way.
Dan, did you have something?
I do have one more question for, is Nicole there? Sorry. Nicole's still there, is that right?
Yes.
Oh,
She's
so
coming.
I understand that there's still matters to be resolved with respect to this. So specifics cannot be provided. At what point are we going to find out what's going to happen, and at what point, if it's going to happen or if it's not going to happen? How are we going to find out about that? I would appreciate knowing this, as soon as it is possible for us to know this.
Certainly. I mean, we can share as we're confirming locations and finalizing details, we can certainly share that with the commission. We have a walkthrough with Fowler scheduled, and, there's a Washington Township Supervisors meeting scheduled for mid-August. So once we have the outcome of both of those, we'll know that we're confirmed. We'll be able to update you as the set days and hours are finalized. Obviously, we will be pushing out a lot of communication to the public so that people know about this and they know where they can vote ballot on demand, because these locations will be open to all county residents, not just any registered voter in the county can vote at all. So we want to really get the word out and make sure people know about it.
Okay, thank you. Again, that would be something that as soon as you know, that I would like us to know.
Yes, absolutely. We can share updates as they develop.
And I'm curious, Nicole, has this passed through the county council, the budget? Because I'm sure this isn't going to be free or part of the, have they allocated dollars for this?
There's no additional budget.
No additional cost for safety of ballots? Do they have a plan in place for that?
No, we're using the drop boxes, which the deputies pick up, so we're already using our existing infrastructure and security apparatus for these locations.
And what about personnel?
We're using existing staff and personnel, we're just moving people around. So we're using what we have, and we're just trying to be, strategic and efficient with the resources that we have now.
A good word, strategic.
Okay, all right, anything else? All right, let's move on then to new business. Review of the Chapman Borough Council referendum question, which will be placed on the ballot in November.
So this was an ordinance passed by the Borough of Chapman asking that a following referendum question be placed on the ballot. Shall the number of members of the council for the Borough of Chapman be reduced from 7 to 5 members? The commission is required to, if it's a valid ordinance, the commission is required to place it on the ballot. The commission also does have to prove the plain English version of the question that will appear at the polling place but not on the ballot. In this particular case, Chapman did not provide us with a proposed plain English version. We'll get into that a little bit in the next one. There was an initial draft I had prepared that was sent out first, but then at the beginning of this meeting, I further simplified the language, attempting to make the plain English as plain as possible. So the plain English version, the second draft of the plain English version I prepared would be The ballot question asks the voters of Chapman Borough to reduce the size of the Borough Council from 7 members to 5 members. And then we need to explain a vote of yes to the question would reduce the size of the Borough Council to 5 members. A vote of no to the question would keep the size of the Borough Council at 7 members. I tried to make the plain English as plain as possible. It's nothing like lawyers to make plain English confusing. So that language, the plain English version appears at the polling place, but not on the ballot. The ballot question would be the question that was in the form drafted and approved by the Borough Council in Chapman. So what we'd be looking for is a motion to place the question on the ballot and a motion to approve the proposed plain English version. Does anyone have any questions about that? This one's pretty simple.
Any questions?
In fact, I think a substantially similar question, I believe, approved last year. The voters of the borough declined to reduce the size of their council down to 3, so I think they're taking a second crack at reducing the size of the council down to 5. So.
All right. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to pass the
I'll second
referendum
it.
question.
All right, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake, was that motion to place the question on the ballot? And if we could have a second motion to approve the proposed plain English version?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the plain English version, the revised plain English version, and also to place it on the referendum officially.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. And now we also have the review of the Williams Township Board of Supervisors, EIT, referendum to be placed on November's ballot. Michael.
This is a proposed ballot question from Williams Township. They want to place the following question on the ballot. Do you favor the imposition of an additional earned income tax at a rate of 0.25% by Williams Township to be used for financing the acquisition of open space for the purpose of acquiring forest and agricultural conservation easements, for the purpose of acquiring property development rights, for transactional fees incidental to the acquisitions, and to allow annually up to 25% of the annual revenue to pay to develop, improve, design, engineer, and maintain property acquired in fee simple for open space? Yes or no? For those with no real estate background, acquired in fee simple just means they would own it. This is some slight editorializing on my part. You'll notice the plain English version here is clearly prepared by an attorney, but there are important reasons for it. I know the plain English version here extends almost a full page, but it is important in something like this, especially because they're talking about spending township revenue, that they actually be very, very specific about what they're authorizing that township revenue to be spent on. So I realize it seems odd that the plain English version of a single paragraph extends for a full page, but it is important because it's important the taxpayers in Williams Township do understand exactly what they would be authorizing their tax money to be spent on. So although it is long, there are reasons that it is that long. My advice to the board would be to approve the plain English as prepared by the attorney for Williams Township. So we'd be looking for the same sort of motion, a motion to both place the question on the ballot and to approve the proposed plain English version. In this case, the proposed plain English version prepared by counsel for Williams Township.
Somebody like to make that motion?
Because I'm not able to see it, I'm going to abstain on this vote, and hopefully that doesn't cause a need for me to go back and try to find a way to view it on my little phone, okay? If you sent it around, okay?
Motion?
I move that we place the Williams Township question on the ballot
And that the English, please.
and as well as the plain English version.
The plain English version proposed by the attorney for Williams Township?
Correct.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries. Thank you.
Note that Dan abstained from that vote, so it will be 4-0.
Yes. One, yes. Thank you. All right, anything else? Michael, Chris?
I don't think so. I think it's time for everyone's favorite motion.
All right, okay, if that's nothing else, then would somebody please make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.